My wife said, "Modern women don't cook or clean. Hire a maid or starve." I said, "You're absolutely right." Then I hired a young Brazilian housekeeper who cooked amazing meals. Her friends' reactions when the maid answered our door in lingerie she left out. This happened about 6 months ago. For context, we live in Chicago, not some 1950s sitcom world, and I'm a software developer, not a Neanderthal expecting women to serve me. My wife Sarah, 34F, and I, 36M, have been married for 8 years, together for 10. When we first met, we were both junior analysts at the same financial firm, equally ambitious, equally overworked, equally takeout dependent. Our relationship back then was genuinely equal. We split rent 50-50, alternated paying for dates, and our apartment looked like a disaster zone because neither of us had time to clean it. Fast forward to now. I switched careers to software development 5 years ago and now work from home for a tech company, specifically developing management systems for the hospitality industry. Sarah stayed in finance and has risen impressively through the ranks. She's now a VP at her investment firm, working 70-plus-hour weeks and traveling frequently. I'm incredibly proud of her success. The issue began last winter. With me working from home and Sarah at the office, the division of household labor naturally shifted. I started handling more of the day-to-day household stuff simply because I was physically present more often. I'd throw in laundry between Zoom calls, clean the kitchen during lunch breaks, and generally keep our condo from descending into chaos. I also got into cooking during the pandemic, like half the planet, and I enjoy making most of our meals. I'm not claiming to be some culinary genius, but I can make a decent risotto and haven't given anyone food poisoning yet, which I count as a win. Looking back, Sarah's attitude had been gradually changing over the previous year. Comments about her friends' domestic arrangements, eye rolls when I'd mentioned cooking, increasing references to modern relationships. Her recent promotion had placed her in a social circle where a certain type of feminism, one that seemed more about status than equality, was the price of admission. But as winter turned to spring, I found myself swamped with a major project. My team was rebuilding our company's entire restaurant management platform, and I was suddenly working longer hours than Sarah. For several weeks, I was coding until 2 a.m., surviving on energy drinks and determination. Our condo quickly deteriorated into its natural state of disorder. After a particularly grueling day, I asked Sarah if she could handle dinner for the next few nights while I powered through this project crunch. Her response caught me completely off guard. "Modern women don't cook or clean," she said without looking up from her phone. "That's outdated gender role nonsense. Hire a maid or starve." I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. It didn't come. "You're joking, right?" I finally asked. "I've been cooking for us and cleaning the condo for months while you've been busy at work." "That's your choice," she shrugged. "I never asked you to do that." "So now that I'm the busy one, you won't help out?" "I didn't spend years climbing the corporate ladder to come home and be a housewife," she said. "I make enough money that we don't have to live like this. Just hire someone." I was too exhausted to argue. I ordered takeout, went back to my desk, and tried to focus on debugging rather than on my wife's sudden transformation into whatever this was. The next morning, over coffee, I tried again, thinking she'd been having a bad day. But she doubled down. "Look, Brad, I'm not going to apologize for my success or my boundaries. My mother spent her life cooking and cleaning for my father, and it got her nowhere. That's not me." "This isn't about gender roles," I countered. "It's about being partners and supporting each other. When you were pulling 80-hour weeks for the Henderson account, I handled everything at home. Now, I'm asking for the same support. And I'm offering a solution," she said. "Hire help. We can afford it." Then came the kicker. "Or did you really think I was going to come home from the office and start making you sandwiches?" I took a deep breath. "You know what? You're absolutely right." Her smug expression indicated she thought she'd won. She hadn't. "We should hire someone," I continued. "I'll take care of it." And I did. Through a neighborhood Facebook group, I found Maria, a 58-year-old Brazilian immigrant who had been a professional chef in São Paulo before moving to the US. She was looking for household management work while saving to open her own restaurant. Her references were impeccable, Her cooking was apparently legendary, and she had a no-nonsense attitude that reminded me of my grandmother. I hired her to come in 3 days a week, to clean, do laundry, and prepare meals that could be reheated on her off days. When I hired Maria, I made sure to set everything up legally. Payroll taxes, workers' comp insurance, the works. My brother's an accountant and helped me make sure everything was above board. Sarah, who had clearly expected me to continue handling everything myself, seemed surprised but didn't object. After all, she's the one who suggested hiring help. Maria was a revelation. Not only did our condo sparkle like never before, but our fridge was filled with incredible food. Brazilian feijoada, perfectly seasoned steaks, homemade pasta, meals that made my amateur cooking look like a child playing with an easy bake oven. She even baked fresh bread that made our entire floor smell like heaven. I'd wrap up work each day to find the apartment immaculate and dinner ready to heat up. After years of takeout and my adequate at best cooking, this was like living in a 5-star hotel. Sarah, surprisingly, seemed annoyed rather than pleased. She'd make little comments about the unnecessary expense or how the apartment smelled too strongly of garlic. But she still ate every bite of Maria's cooking and never once offered to take over any household duties. The real comedy began when Sarah started bringing friends home. Now, I should explain that Sarah's social circle had evolved over the years. Her new friends were mostly women from her firm, high-powered, hyper-competitive, and, like Sarah, strangely invested in a particular brand of feminism that seemed more about avoiding household labor than actual equality. They'd gather at our place monthly for wine night, where they'd humble brag about their careers while exchanging increasingly bizarre takes on modern gender dynamics. These wine nights always left a disaster in their wake. Empty bottles everywhere. Red wine spills on our white sofa, cheeseboard detritus ground into the carpet. Guess who always cleaned it up? Not Sarah, that's for sure. The first wine night after Maria started working for us fell on a Thursday, one of her days with us. I gave her a heads up about the gathering and offered her the evening off, but she insisted on staying to prepare appetizers before leaving. When the doorbell rang at 7 p.m., Sarah was still getting ready, so I answered it. It was Jessica, Sarah's work friend, arriving early. "Oh, I didn't realize Sarah had staff," she said, eyeing Maria, who was arranging a spectacular charcuterie board in the kitchen. Before I could respond, Sarah emerged from the bedroom. "Jess, you're early." Then, noticing Jessica's expression, "Oh, that's just Maria. She's helping us out while Brad and I are both busy with work." Jessica raised an eyebrow but said nothing. As the other women arrived, I retreated to my office to give them privacy. Through the door, I could hear their conversation shift from work gossip to Maria. "So you actually have a maid?" one asked, sounding both horrified and intrigued. "It was Brad's idea," Sarah replied quickly. "You know how men are. Can't figure out how to run a dishwasher." I nearly choked on my coffee, the audacity. "But isn't it weird having someone in your space?" another asked. "Maria's practically invisible," Sarah assured them, "and it frees me up to focus on breaking the glass ceiling instead of scrubbing toilets." The hypocrisy was breathtaking. This from the woman who hadn't so much as rinsed a plate in months. Later that evening, Maria knocked on my office door to say goodnight. She hesitated, then added quietly, "Mr. Brad, your wife told her friends that you demanded she hire help because you refused to learn housework." I sighed. "That's not exactly how it happened, Maria." "I know," she said simply. "I see who does the dishes when I'm not here." Then she left. The next morning, surveying the wine night carnage, Sarah announced she was late for a meeting and rushed out the door. It was Friday, not one of Maria's regularly scheduled days, but Sarah had actually asked her to come in for extra help before the weekend and hadn't bothered to tell me. The mess would sit until either I or Maria dealt with it. As I was clearing lipstick-stained glasses, I found a lacy black bra wedged between sofa cushions. Definitely not Sarah's style. One of her friends must have dropped it, though how a bra gets accidentally left behind is beyond me. I set it aside on the entryway table to deal with later, then dove back into work. Around noon, the doorbell rang. It was a delivery. Sarah had ordered lunch for the team working on a weekend project and had it sent to our address by mistake. As I was explaining this to the delivery guy, Maria arrived for her extra shift. When she came in, she naturally started tidying up as she always did, picking up the bra from the entryway table just as the doorbell rang again. "I was just getting started on this mess," she said with a sigh. Before I could respond, I opened the door to find Jessica and two other women from Sarah's wine night, supposedly coming to pick up a file Sarah needed. Their expressions when they saw Maria in my apartment were priceless, a mixture of vindication and scandalized delight. "Oh, we didn't realize you had company," Jessica said, her eyes darting between us. That's when they noticed Maria casually holding the black lace bra, having picked it up from the entryway table while starting to clean. The women's eyes widened. Jessica actually gasped. "We were just cleaning up after last night," I said innocently. "Someone left this behind. Is it one of yours?" Stunned silence, then a hasty retreat, muttering excuses about texting the file instead. As the door closed, Maria and I looked at each other and burst into laughter. "I'm so sorry," I said when I could breathe again. "That must have been awkward for you," Maria shrugged. "I've been a household employee for many families. You learn to recognize the signs of a troubled marriage." She handed me the bra. "This is not mine, by the way. I wear sensible cotton, like a proper grandmother." When Maria first learned about the rumors Sarah was spreading, she was understandably upset. "I have been a professional my entire life," she told me, eyes flashing with rare anger. "To suggest I would behave this way is disrespectful to both of us." It was only after seeing the absurdity of the situation with the bra that she began to find humor in it. That evening, I confronted Sarah. "Why are you telling people I'm having an affair with Maria?" She denied it at first, then deflected, then finally admitted it when I told her about the women's visit and their reaction to seeing Maria with the mysterious bra. "It was just girl talk," she insisted. "No one took it seriously." "Your friends clearly did," I countered. "Why would you make up something like that?" After more deflection, the truth emerged. Sarah was embarrassed. Not about having household help, that was apparently status appropriate, but about the reason for it. She couldn't admit to her girl boss friends that she refused to do housework while I was working long hours. So she'd constructed an elaborate narrative where I was both incompetent at housework and likely sleeping with the help, while she was the long-suffering career woman dealing with a man-child husband. "Do you realize how insane that sounds?" I asked. "And how incredibly disrespectful it is to Maria. She's a professional who deserves better than being cast as the other woman in your fictional drama." Sarah broke down then, crying about the pressure she felt from her friends to maintain a particular image. How success in her world came with expectations about having the right opinions, the right lifestyle, the right kind of marriage. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "I think we need some time apart," I finally said. "I'm going to stay with my brother for a while." I left that night. In the weeks that followed, Sarah sent a mixture of angry and pleading texts. Her friends had apparently spread the affair story throughout her office, damaging her carefully cultivated image. The irony was thick enough to cut with a knife. My project crunch lasted about 6 weeks in total, wrapping up just as the situation with Sarah was imploding. By the time we separated, I was back to more normal hours, which actually gave me the bandwidth to start exploring the restaurant management system's commercial applications, particularly for small catering operations, like what Maria had been dreaming about. After consulting with a business attorney, I helped Maria transition from household employee to entrepreneur. We formally ended the employment relationship and drew up proper partnership agreements for a new venture. Maria already had the necessary food safety certifications from her professional chef background, and we ensured all proper permits and inspections were obtained before beginning commercial operations. We started small, weekend catering gigs while I continued my day job. After 4 months of growing success, we found a former restaurant space in Logan Square. It took another 3 months of permits, inspections, and renovations before Casa Maria officially opened its doors. The health department alone required 3 separate inspections before giving us the green light. 2 months into our separation, Sarah asked to meet. Over coffee, she offered a tearful apology. She'd started therapy, she said, beginning to work through her issues with gender roles and her tendency to construct false narratives under social pressure. While 2 months wasn't enough for a complete transformation, she seemed genuinely committed to the process. "I got caught up in something toxic," she admitted. "I was so invested in the idea of being the perfect modern woman that I became a terrible partner. And then I lied about you to save face." I appreciated her honesty, but trust, once broken, is hard to repair. "What about Maria?" I asked. "Have you apologized to her for dragging her into your lies?" Sarah looked down. "Not yet, but I will. We're currently in marriage counseling, living separately while we figure out if there's anything left to salvage." The old Sarah, my equal partner who didn't equate feminism with avoiding the dishwasher, might still be in there somewhere. Maria's catering business is taking off. We converted the former restaurant space in Logan Square, combining her culinary skills with my tech background to create something special. She still teases me about being my Brazilian mistress whenever Sarah's friends walk into the restaurant, causing them to choke on their cocktails. The black bra, by the way, turned out to belong to Jessica, Sarah's friend who'd been most eager to catch us in the act. She'd been having an affair with a married colleague and had apparently changed clothes at our place before heading back to the office. According to another friend who later defected from the group, Jessica had actually noticed it was missing, but decided not to mention it, thinking she could use the misplaced item to fuel rumors later if needed. Her own stratagem backfired spectacularly. When Sarah finally confronted her about it, Jessica claimed she'd forgotten to ask for it back. The layers of hypocrisy in Sarah's social circle turned out to be as multi-layered as Maria's excellent lasagna. So that's it. No dramatic conclusion, no perfect revenge, just the slowly unfolding consequences of Sarah's bizarre choice to reframe basic partnership as outdated gender roles, then lie about it to save face. Life is messier than Reddit stories usually allow. Sometimes your spouse says something ridiculous about modern women not cooking or cleaning. Sometimes you hire help who turns out to be worth their weight in gold as both an employee and a friend. And sometimes a forgotten bra accidentally exposes multiple layers of deception at once. The real lesson? If you're going to lie about having an affair with the housekeeper, make sure your friends don't leave their lingerie at your place. Update 3 months later. Since many have asked for an update, here's where things stand. Sarah and I have decided to give our marriage another try. The counseling helped us identify some deep-seated issues on both sides. Her tendency to adopt extreme positions to impress her peers, my tendency to respond passive-aggressively rather than addressing problems directly. We're both working on these things. Sarah formally apologized to Maria and has become one of our catering business's most vocal supporters, even bringing clients from her firm. She's still at the same company but has distanced herself from Jessica and that particular social circle. Maria is now the proud co-owner of Casa Maria, our Brazilian fusion restaurant that's gotten write-ups in several local food blogs. She still helps around our condo occasionally, but as a friend rather than an employee. Her famous feijoada is now our Sunday tradition. The most surprising development? Sarah has discovered she actually enjoys cooking, when it's a choice rather than an obligation. She's taken a few classes and now makes dinner once a week, not because she has to, but because she wants to. As for Jessica and the mysterious bra incident, she's reportedly on her third affair with her third married colleague. Some people never learn. I've learned that relationships are complicated, people are contradictory, and sometimes it takes a Brazilian chef and an accidentally misplaced bra to expose the absurdity of performative anything, whether it's performative feminism or performative traditionalism. Also, in case it wasn't clear from the original post, Maria is a 58-year-old grandmother of 4 who found the whole situation hilarious and used it to extract a higher ownership percentage in our restaurant venture. Never underestimate a Brazilian grandmother with good business sense.